Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel here. So this is day 2 of the driveway demo, I guess you could call it, or replacement. Um, I started off this video, as you can see here, measuring the depth of these sonotubes, and that was more just for reference. Again, I'm posting some of these videos now. Really don't think I ever intended to put these on YouTube. They were more just for me to keep and for my reference. If you didn't see the removal of the old driveway, that was in part 1, which I can link to above. But I started out here just going from hole to hole here and just measuring just so I could show that they were deep enough. Our frost line here is 42 inches, and these were all well past that. I mean, most of these were 48 or more. So anyway, day 2, I think in the compilation video, the 5-day one, I really combined day 2 and 3 together because the weather really hadn't cooperated with us on this day. This was July 17th of 2019. Was the day after we ripped the driveway out, and really, it was raining most of the day. I think Mark Warsaw with Creek Construction by Design. I think Mark and Brian came over in the morning and set some forms out in front of the house, and they were here maybe a couple of hours, and it was raining pretty good, and I think they called it, and you'll see here when I walk out there. So I was here anyway for the day. At the time we were recording this, we were actually on vacation, and the family was actually at the vacation house over in Canada, which isn't far from where we live here in Buffalo. So I had come back over the border to come home to kind of manage this project for a couple of days. So I was here anyway, and I figured I'd make the most of it. So what I ended up doing, as you'll see here shortly, is I dug down and found my 4-inch drain tile pipe, and then started to lay out the trench drain that I wanted to put along the house. So these 2 footings here that you're looking at, these are going to be the ones at the end of the stairs. There's going to be a staircase coming off the back of the deck that leads into the yard there, and then there's going to be another staircase over to the right, pretty much right on top of where those heat tubes go down underground into the basement. There'll be a little staircase there along the house that leads down to the driveway. So yeah, I measured all those, so I've got a good reference how deep they were. You can see there, as you saw in the day 1 video, where I put those pipes in. And here's the channel drain I was talking about. So right there, there was a 4-inch PVC pipe sticking up that used to collect to a downspout that once we resided the house was no longer there. And it was pretty much moved back here where you can see that. Now I didn't want to cut that off and mess with it, so we just ended the channel drain right there. The lengths all worked out perfect. So I could sit that one channel drain on the left there right on top of it. It comes down here in T's, and we also didn't tie into that one there either. So what I did was ran it out away from the house and dug down and found my 4-inch pipe, and then I tapped into it with a Y, and I used a couple of couplings and then a couple of ferncos over the couplings and right over the hub on the Y fitting, and then just built that up. And I left that green SDR35 pipe there high, so that, once Mark came back the next day and we set everything at height and we pitched where he wanted the grade of the driveway and all of that, I took that off, and you'll see it in the time lapse. I cut it down exactly to where we wanted it. So here's the forms you can see that Mark and Brian started to lay out and set up. They got some of them set out here in the front. This is going to be the new walkway. As you can see, the old one there in my front lawn where all that dirt is used to just run out to the sidewalk. I also buried some sprinkler lines, just 3/4-inch PVC. I ran one underneath that walkway, and here I'm just pulling measurements so that down the road after everything is poured, if I ever need to dig and find those pipes, I can do that. But I wanted those all in before the stone went down, before the insulation board and all of that went down. So I also buried one, as you can see here, about 8.5, 9 inches out, that runs underneath the driveway to the little strip on the other side over here. Because I own about 2, 3 feet of that side of the driveway, and I did put some sprinkler heads along the driveway. So yeah, I'm at this point just walking around. It's the end of the day. I'm measuring, I'm taking note of where things are. I also ran a sprinkler line underneath the front sidewalk, and it's pretty much buried underneath that stone, but you can see where the yellow tape is there. And I think I'm talking right now in the video, but it's like 20 feet from the inside of that 2x4. So 20 feet, 1.5 inches from the edge of the driveway once they strip the forms is exactly where that 3/4 inch PVC goes underneath the sidewalk and out to the spot of grass there between the street and the sidewalk. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure I documented all that real well. I can put some pictures up of that. I should have. I didn't really take any time lapse or any video of the sprinkler installation. I also did all of that myself. The sprinklers pretty much run right where the orange paint is there. That's where I ended up putting my lines. And I did it in a few zones. So the front yard itself is on one zone, and then I've got another zone out by the road that's also connected to the zone that's on the other side of the driveway. So there's like 6 heads on that zone. So out here is the apron. This is all going to be 6 inches thick. That's per town code. The sidewalks are only 4, but the part where you drive on and the driveway is going to be 5. And you'll see that they're using I believe it's 2x6s for their forms for the apron and the driveway. Here's the bubbler. I mentioned in the day 1 video, I cut that off right there, the 4 inch. And so what I did was I put a coupling on and then used a 6 inch to 4 inch Y and glued that all in. Everything down below is glued, and I also drilled a bunch of holes in it. And this up here will end up being cut off flush with the top of the driveway once it's poured. So that just kind of dumps down and hits the storm drain line that runs along the other side of the curb there. But having this 6 inch pipe makes it so much easier to reach down in there, clean it out. If leaves and other garbage get in there, sometimes I just take the leaf blower and stick it right down in there and it blows everything out. But yeah, so far, I mean, if you guys, if you saw my drainage bubbler video, that old one that I didn't even have the camera in the right orientation, it's like one of my first ever YouTube videos, like 4 or 5 years ago. You'll see that this thing used to get plugged all the time. It was full of tree roots, and so far now, this has been in 3 years because it's today is March 16th, and yeah, it hasn't plugged yet. It's wide open. So we left the curb. We left the original curb. Obviously, we didn't pour over it or cut it down. They poured right up to it. And yeah, like I mentioned, this will all be 6 inch. The sidewalk's all 4 inch. You can see there by their 2x4 forms. And you can see how it kind of slopes down. So it gets thicker as you get to the driveway because the driveway's 5 inches on top of the 2 inches of foam board. So the actual driveway is like 7 inches thick. The concrete's only 5 on top of it. But yeah, there you can see 2x4, 2x6. And Mark did that just for the different height, different thicknesses. So yeah, I mean, this was a short one. I did not take time lapse because the guys were really only here for a couple hours just laying this out. Here you're gonna see how much I have to grade that. I had requested that Mark dig this down. We used to have a big hump at the end of the driveway there, and every time you'd pull in with the car or the minivan, it would scrape. You'd get that on the bottom, and it'd scrape. So I said, listen, I want you to dig this thing down and get me a nice pitch right to the road. And if we have to re-slope the grass or the sidewalks leading down to the apron and to the driveway, that's fine. I don't mind doing the work for that. And he did, as you could see there, when I held that tape measure up to like my new grade line, Mark dug it down and got that slope down. So yeah, in the end, it turned out good, but just a short one. And stay tuned. Day three is coming, and that's when we start really setting forms, setting those drains, and getting things moving. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one.